Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into a triumphant, highly analytical exploration of how ancient scholars mapped precise physical anatomy using rigorous linguistic exegesis and prophetic poetry. As an anatomical lexicographer, I absolutely love this stuff because we get to see exactly how language constructs physical reality. If you love discovering the hidden depths of ancient texts, you are in for a real treat.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the boundaries of the throat, front versus back, defining the Oref, the lexicon of adjacent, and finally, mapping anatomy through prophecy. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The boundaries of the throat.
Okay, to appreciate the grand finale of this journey, we first have to ground ourselves in the strict spatial coordinates for standard slaughtering, or shchita. As these foundational steps show, every single millimeter literally matters. We're talking about cutting the windpipe within very specific rings on the front of the neck. If the knife gets diverted or slips beyond those designated rings, a concept the sages debated endlessly, the entire process is entirely invalid. You must cut a precise majority of the windpipe in a highly restricted vertical zone. No guesswork allowed. When it comes to this, anatomy is absolute law.
Section 2. Front versus back.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because the physical law completely flips when we move from standard slaughter to pinching a bird offering, which is called Melikah. It brilliantly illustrates a core principle of spatial inversion. Shchita requires the throat and is totally invalid at the nape, but Melikah, pinching strictly requires the nape and is entirely invalid at the throat. The exact zone that works for one is completely disqualified for the other. It's a perfect anatomical mirror, which naturally leads us to a massive legal and physical question.
Section 3. Defining the Oref.
Because this legal ritual relies entirely on happening at the nape of the neck, we absolutely cannot have any ambiguity about where that is. So the sages boldly ask, what exactly is the precise anatomical meaning of the word Oref? When determining the valid zone for pinching a bird offering, what physical space are we actually looking at?
Initially, we look at the literal structural definition. The Oref is the actual occipital bone situated right at the rear of the skull. But here's where we have to put on our rigorous exegetical linguist hats. If we assume the Oref is that hard occipital bone itself, performing the pinch directly on that bone would actually be invalid according to the biblical text. Crazy, right? But it all comes down to one absolutely critical word in the Torah.
Section 4. The lexicon of adjacent.
Let's unpack this precise biblical wording, because it initiates a total masterclass in lexical deduction. Leviticus 5:8 doesn't actually command the priest to pinch directly on the Oref. It commands them to pinch adjacent to its Oref, or in Hebrew, mimul or pu. So the valid zone is not the occipital bone itself, but the anatomical area immediately next to it. But how do we define mimul in a physical spatial sense on a bird's neck?
Well, the sages pull out their comparative dictionary. They cross-reference vocabulary from the Book of Numbers, specifically where a nation is described as residing mimimidally, meaning adjacent to me, or literally, in a place that sees me. By doing this, they deduce that mimimil perfectly locks in our vertical spatial coordinates. It refers to the sloping area right below the occipital bone that looks toward it. Boom, the vertical y-axis is locked in. But we're still missing the horizontal x-axis.
Section 5. Mapping anatomy through prophecy.
As exegetical linguists, we demand absolute certainty. If we must be adjacent to the Oref, we need undeniable textual proof of where the Oref itself is located in the first place. You might be thinking, well, obviously it's the back of the neck, but obviously doesn't fly in rigorous Talmudic jurisprudence. We need absolute proof that the Oref is opposite the face, and this leads to the stunning culmination of our journey.
The Gemara brings in this beautiful, poetic proof text from the book of Jeremiah, "For they have turned their Oref unto me and not their face." Just think about what the sages are doing here. They are taking prophetic literature, a book of moral exhortation and poetry, and utilizing it as an infallible literal anatomical map.
Jeremiah directly contrasts the Oref with the face when talking about people turning away. This moral metaphor proves definitively that the Oref is the exact physical opposite of the face, permanently located at the rear of the head. It solves our anatomical problem with just breathtaking exegesis. The face equals the absolute front, therefore the Oref equals the absolute rear.
Lexical deduction complete.
Poetic prophecy confirms the definitive boundaries of the bird offering. We can clearly see how the sages masterfully wielded the lexicon of ancient prophecy to secure the absolute physical reality of a legal boundary. They combined the strict anatomical baseline of the windpipe, the inverted spatial rules of the bird offering, the comparative linguistics of the word mumu, and the spatial geometry hidden within Jeremiah's poetry to flawlessly map a bird's anatomy.
Which leaves us with this final, truly fascinating thought. If a single poetic verse, a metaphor about a rebellious nation, can be reversed engineered to perfectly map physical anatomy, what other absolute realities are waiting to be uncovered inside ancient poetry? It really changes the way you look at language, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for those hidden maps in the words around you.